Welcome back in. Happy National Signing Day number 2. Sipple, Parker, Lincoln Journal-Star, HuskerExtra.com. This is the 2-minute drill. Sipple, obviously one of the major offseason storylines is the new quarterbacks Nebraska has in the building and in transfers, Casey Thompson and Chubba Purdy, new offensive coordinator Mark Whipple, who's going to coach those quarterbacks. I guess just give me your overall takeaway listening to Scott Frost talk, not for the first time about Whipple, but for the first time about the new quarterbacks in the building and sort of how that process is coming along.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the way I framed up the question to Scott was the narrative is that they brought in Casey Thompson to start, right?
Sure.
He said that's not my narrative. He said that there's a lot of narratives around here that aren't necessarily accurate. I mean, but that's the narrative, and I believe that's the correct narrative. I think it brought Casey Thompson here.
Well, he's going to have a head start just in the sense that he started 10 games for Texas last year. Nobody else in that room has that kind of starting experience.
Right. Casey Thompson's taken the offensive lineman out to eat, all that. I mean, he's conducting himself as if he's the man.
Yeah.
So there's that. The comments. Then I thought Frost comments about Whipple specifically and sort of the machine that's starting to operate in terms of structuring a new offense were really interesting. And the way he characterized Whipple is this: very take charge oriented.
Yeah.
Very bright. He portrayed him as being pretty forceful, and that's the kind of guy you need. What I've heard from people inside the program is that think Charlie McBride, the former defensive coordinator. Charlie, if he wanted something done, it was going to get done quick.
Yeah.
And I think Whipple's that way too.
And
that's the way it's got to be.
So Frost said that he's enjoying having new voices in the room, and I thought the juxtaposition he drew between the previous staff and some of the guys he let go, he said were his best friends. He said we spoke the same language, and sometimes it was hard to generate new ideas. And now new ideas aren't the problem; they got a lot of them.
Yeah.
But he said he's been a little bit. He didn't say surprised, but he just said, you got to work through the language barrier, essentially, of all these guys that have come from different systems into Nebraska's offensive meeting room and try to put together everybody being on the same page and then be able to teach it to the kids.
They got a major job because there is new language to learn. Even Frost mentioned sign language because they signal in a lot of the plays. So they have to marry languages too. The leftover language from the Frost offense with a new language in Whipple's offense, and probably some LSU language. I mean, whatever. I mean, they're
Cajun.
Yeah, French. Now I can tell you. I mean, when Bob Diaco was here, it was a similar thing. He came in as the defensive coordinator. I remember specifically the conversations about Diaco having to teach first his system to the coaches, and then the coaches have to learn it quickly and then teach it to the players. It was all very challenging.
Yeah.
And this is what they're dealing with now.
Well, it's incumbent on this offensive staff to get it together better than it happened in 2017 with that defensive staff.
Yeah, which was an utter disaster.
Yeah. A couple of linguists here. We'll have to figure out a new language ourselves and get to writing. So for Sipple, I'm Parker. Thanks for watching.